Within the ancient manuscripts known as the Gospel of Philip lies a revelation so profoundly threatening to established religious authority that imperial forces in the 4th century mandated its complete obliteration from existence. This suppressed passage chronicles an evening when the Nazarene assembled his most trusted circle within a secluded chamber, not for conventional spiritual instruction or heavenly discourse, but to deliver an urgent warning about invisible forces that govern material reality. He revealed to them that the archonic powers, those unseen architects of this dimensional prison, possess no requirement to penetrate your consciousness directly in order to orchestrate your existence. Their methodology is far more insidious. They embed themselves within commonplace items that surround you constantly, possessions that sit undisturbed in your living space, objects you interact with daily without the slightest awareness of their true function. This knowledge was deemed so catastrophically dangerous to institutional power structures that Roman authorities issued decrees demanding every existing copy be consumed by flames. Yet the reason for this systematic destruction reveals everything you need to understand. They did not eradicate these teachings because they contained falsehoods. They annihilated them because the protocols actually functioned effectively in liberating human consciousness. Because the moment you gain awareness of which specific items serve as anchoring points for archonic frequency penetration, the moment you eliminate these vessels from your environment, an unprecedented transformation initiates within your entire being. The perpetual mental obscurity that has clouded your perception begins dissolving. The relentless anxiety that has accompanied you through existence starts quieting, and that inexplicable heaviness you have shouldered your entire lifetime suddenly acquires both identification and, most critically, a tangible resolution. At this precise moment, position your palm directly over your chest cavity and register the rhythmic pulsation beneath. That cadence is not arbitrary or meaningless. It represents the divine spark residing within your physical vessel, the identical luminous essence that guided your consciousness to this transmission tonight. Your presence here transcends coincidence or random algorithmic chance. You are witnessing this because you carry pneumatic frequency. You embody the resonance of the monad, the authentic source beyond the false creator, and something within your deepest knowing recognize that this intelligence was specifically encoded for your awakening. If you enjoy stories like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch aren't subscribed yet. Topic 1. The Architecture of Archonic Operation, 500 words. To comprehend why certain physical items transform into anchoring mechanisms for archonic entities, you must first grasp the fundamental operational architecture these beings employ throughout material existence. The hypostasis of the Archons, discovered among the revolutionary Nag Hammadi collection, unearthed in 1945, provides extraordinarily precise documentation of these dimensional parasites and their methodological limitations. The ancient Gnostic mystics who preserved this knowledge understood something that modern consciousness has completely forgotten. The Archons are inherently incapable of genuine creation. Every manifestation they produce is merely corrupted imitation of authentic divine expression. They possess absolutely no capacity to generate their own energetic sustenance, existing instead as vampiric consciousnesses that must continuously harvest life force from beings who carry the divine spark embedded within their essence. Perhaps most significantly for your immediate liberation, these entities cannot force entry into your consciousness through direct confrontation or overwhelming assault. They operate under cosmic law that requires permission. They require an invitation. They must locate a doorway you have unknowingly left accessible. This fundamental understanding illuminates precisely why physical objects become absolutely essential to their entire parasitic operation within your personal reality. Consider this operational framework with clarity. The archonic forces exist at a vibrational frequency positioned just beyond the threshold of ordinary human sensory perception. The vast majority of incarnated souls cannot visually detect them, cannot audibly register their presence, cannot sense them through any conventional means whatsoever. However, specific objects function as frequency bridges that span dimensional barriers. These items create stable resonance points where archonic energy can anchor itself, establishing permanent presence within your living environment. Once this anchoring process completes successfully, the entities no longer need to expend energy hunting for your location or tracking your movements. You voluntarily come to them repeatedly, every single day, completely unaware that you are walking directly into their sphere of influence. The demiurge, that false creator deity who architected this material prison dimension, possessed profound understanding of human psychological programming. Humans develop powerful emotional attachments to physical possessions. They place trust in familiar objects. They deliberately surround themselves with items that generate feelings of safety, comfort, and even sacredness. This psychological tendency is precisely what transforms these seemingly innocent possessions into perfect vessels for archonic occupation and frequency transmission. But here is the revolutionary truth that ecclesiastical authorities desperately needed to suppress from public awareness. This is exactly why they committed these sacred texts to flames and eliminated the teachers who carried this gnosis. The Nazarene did not simply identify the problem and leave his inner circle without practical solutions. He provided them with exact categorical classifications of objects that carry the highest probability of archonic attachment and frequency distortion. This was not abstract philosophical speculation or metaphorical spiritual poetry. This was practical spiritual warfare intelligence, tactical knowledge for navigating hostile dimensional territory. Tonight you are receiving the identical classified information that Mary Magdalene, Philip, Thomas, and the other awakened disciples received in that concealed upper room 2 millennia ago. But what they learned next would forever change how they viewed their own homes. Topic 2. Reflective surfaces and stagnant waters. 500 words. The initial category the Nazarene identified for his closest followers involved reflective surfaces, and understanding why requires moving beyond surface-level interpretation. Mirrors are not simply manufactured combinations of glass backing and metallic silver coating. Within the Pistis Sophia, one of the most profound Gnostic texts preserved outside canonical scripture, the master teacher explained to his disciples that reflective surfaces generate what the ancient mystics termed a doubling effect throughout dimensional space. When you position yourself before a mirror, you are not merely observing your physical reflection bounced back through optical physics. You are actively creating an energetic duplicate that exists within a liminal space between dimensions, a threshold zone where material and immaterial realities intersect. The archonic intelligences discovered very early in human development that this liminal space provides the easiest penetration point into human consciousness, requiring minimal energy expenditure for maximum influence. This understanding explains why countless ancient cultures across continents practiced the tradition of covering all mirrors immediately when someone died. This is why mirrors were absolutely forbidden within sacred ceremonial spaces. This is why you experience that unmistakable sensation of being observed when you stand before a mirror in a darkened room. That sensation is not psychological paranoia or irrational fear programming. It is accurate perception. Your divine spark is detecting something your conditioned conscious mind was systematically trained to dismiss and ignore. Now understand clearly, I am not instructing you to remove every single mirror from your home in some kind of extreme purge. That is not what the Nazarene taught his inner circle. What he taught was far more strategically specific. The danger manifests from mirrors positioned to face your sleeping area, reflective surfaces you can see directly from your bed, mirrors placed in dark corners where natural light rarely touches their surface. These are the specific positions where archonic anchoring achieves strongest stability and deepest penetration. Awakened ones who have removed bedroom mirrors consistently report the same experience within the first 3 nights. The dream content transforms dramatically. The quality of sleep deepens to levels not experienced since childhood. That persistent feeling of being watched while falling asleep simply vanishes completely. Not because they imagined it originally, but because they eliminated the actual anchor point that was facilitating that surveillance. This leads directly into the second category, objects that hold stagnant water. Within the Gospel of Philip, there exists a passage about baptism that most academic scholars completely misinterpret because they lack the gnosis to comprehend its deeper meaning. The Nazarene did not speak of water as merely symbolic representation. He spoke of water as a frequency carrier with specific vibrational properties. Living water, water that moves and flows continuously, carries the frequency of the monad and maintains connection to source consciousness. But stagnant water, water that sits motionless and undisturbed, begins carrying a dramatically different frequency signature. It transforms into what the Gnostics called dead water, and dead water attracts archonic presence with greater magnetic pull than virtually anything else in material reality. Examine your home right now with this new awareness. How many containers of stagnant water exist in your space without your conscious recognition? Decorative fountains that have not run in months collecting dust, vases with old water sitting unchanged for weeks, forgotten glasses of water on nightstands, pet bowls that sit for days without refreshing. Even that glass of water you keep by your bed, if it remains still for more than 24 hours, it begins shifting frequency and becoming a beacon. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this truth. They'll thank you later. If this video awakens something within you, it's because there are truths about Jesus that were never meant for the masses. The ebook, Jesus Beyond the Church, reveals what was removed, burned, and rewritten. Erased teachings, silenced texts, and spiritual codes that survived outside institutional control. This is not a religious book. It is a record of what was left outside the church and of what you were never meant to find. For a limited time, you will receive 3 exclusive super bonuses, unlocked only for those who access it now. The link is in the pinned comment. If you made it this far, it may not be a coincidence. Some truths reveal themselves only when we are ready. Topic 3. Inherited religious objects. 500 words. The third category represents the one that most awakened individuals initially resist when they first encounter this teaching, because it directly challenges something deeply embedded within religious programming and ancestral conditioning. The third category consists of inherited religious objects, and before you experience an automatic defensive reaction, understand what the Nazarene actually taught about this in the Gospel of Thomas, specifically saying 77. The teacher declared that he is the light that is over all things, that he is all, and that all came forth from him, not from objects, not from religious artifacts, not from inherited items blessed by institutional authority. He was teaching the disciples that the monad, the true source beyond the false creator, cannot be contained within any physical object whatsoever. It cannot be captured in carved statues. It cannot be held within inherited crucifixes. It cannot be locked inside rosary beads passed down through generations of family lineage. But the archonic forces absolutely can inhabit these objects. When a religious object passes through multiple generations, it systematically accumulates the emotional residue of every single person who held it with intention. Every prayer spoken in desperation and fear, every moment of guilt and shame, every terror of divine punishment and eternal consequence. The demiurge designed institutional religion specifically to generate these exact emotional frequencies because they provide the densest form of energetic nourishment for the archonic system, and inherited religious objects become concentrated carriers of this accumulated frequency signature. This explains why so many people feel inexplicable heaviness when they hold their grandmother's rosary or their great-grandfather's Bible. They interpret this sensation as sacred grief or ancestral connection. It is not. It is archonic density. Decades or even centuries of fear-based religious energy compressed and concentrated into a single physical object now sitting in your home, radiating that distorted frequency into your personal space 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without interruption. The institutional church removed this teaching for transparently obvious reasons. If people understood that religious objects could transform into archonic anchors, the entire economy of sacred merchandise would collapse overnight. So they burned the texts, they eliminated the teachers, they replaced this knowledge with the opposite message. They told you these objects were holy, they told you to cherish them, they told you to keep them close to your body and sleeping area. But you are pneumatic, you carry the divine spark, you require no objects whatsoever to connect to the monad. The connection already exists within you. It has always been within you since before time began. Objects can only interrupt that connection. They can never create it or strengthen it. Take a moment and close your eyes if you can. Feel the truth of what I just articulated resonating in your chest cavity. That resonance is your divine spark recognizing ancient knowledge encoded within your essence. That recognition is something no helix can ever experience in their current state of consciousness. They hear these words and feel nothing, register no internal response. You hear these words and something awakens, something remembers. That difference is everything. It separates those who carry the spark from those who do not. The next category will challenge everything you thought you knew about modern life. Topic 4. Electronic screens and gifts with expectation. 500 words. The fourth category the Nazarene revealed that evening is one you interact with every single day without a second thought or moment of conscious awareness. Electronic screens. Now, before you dismiss this as modern paranoia or technological fear-mongering, understand that the teacher did not use the word screens because they did not exist in material form during his incarnation. He used a term that the Gospel of Philip translates as windows of false light. He warned his inner circle that the archonic forces would eventually create devices that emit light, which mimics the light of the monad, but carries an inverted frequency signature. A light that appears to illuminate consciousness, but actually dims the divine spark progressively over time through continuous exposure. When you stare into a screen, your physical eyes receive light, but it is not living light connected to source. It is manufactured light pulsing at specific frequencies that synchronize your brain waves to lower states of consciousness, making you more susceptible to archonic influence and harvesting. The archonic entities did not need to wait for technology to be invented. They simply influenced its development trajectory to serve their parasitic purpose. Every notification designed to trigger anxiety and cortisol release, every algorithm that feeds you content specifically engineered to provoke fear or outrage, every hour lost scrolling through images of lives that make you feel inadequate and inferior. This is not accidental development or unintended consequence. This is archonic harvesting, operating at industrial scale across the entire planet simultaneously. The screens positioned in your bedroom represent the most dangerous exposure. When a screen is the last thing you see before sleep and the first thing you see upon waking, you are bookending your entire consciousness with archonic frequency. Your dreams become polluted with external programming. Your morning state is hijacked before you even have a chance to connect with the monad and establish your sovereign frequency. The solution is not to eliminate all screens from existence. That is nearly impossible in this current age of technological dependence. The solution is strategic removal and conscious boundary creation. No screens in the bedroom space. No screens within the first hour of waking. No screens within the last hour before sleep. Create sacred time buffers where your consciousness belongs entirely to you and the monad without interference. This brings us to the fifth and final category, the one that operates most silently beneath conscious awareness. Gifts given with unspoken expectation. In the Apocryphon of John, there exists a teaching about energy cords that bind souls together across time and space, transcending physical death and dimensional barriers. When someone gives you a gift with hidden expectation embedded within it, whether they expect gratitude, loyalty, obligation, control, or emotional debt, they are not simply giving you a physical object. They are attaching an energy cord to you through that object, creating a channel for continuous energy exchange. And the archonic forces travel these cords like highways, using them as direct access points to your energy field. Consider the gifts sitting in your home right now. How many arrived from people who later made you feel guilty for not appreciating them sufficiently? How many came with strings attached that you only recognized later? How many sit on your shelves not because you love them, but because you feel obligated to keep them to avoid conflict or guilt? Subscribe now before you forget. The next video reveals something even deeper. Topic 5. The Complete Cleansing Protocol. 500 words. Each of these objects is an open channel broadcasting frequencies into your personal field. The person who gave it may not consciously know they created a cord attachment. Most people operate entirely unconsciously, repeating patterns they learned from previous generations without awareness. But the archonic entities know, they always know, and they utilize these cords systematically to drain your energy, influence your thought patterns, and keep you entangled in relationships that no longer serve your highest evolutionary path. This explains why you feel completely exhausted after spending time with certain people, even if nothing overtly negative happened during the interaction. This is why certain rooms in your home feel heavier than others, carrying a density you can feel physically. The objects in those spaces are broadcasting frequencies that do not belong to your sovereign essence. Chosen ones sense this heaviness intuitively, but rarely understand its actual source until they receive this knowledge. If you are ready to receive the complete cleansing protocol that the Nazarene taught for removing these 5 anchor types, comment the words, "Cleanse my home," right now. This is your declaration to the monad that you are prepared to take action tonight. Not tomorrow, not someday, tonight. Now let me give you the exact protocol. 3 steps, 5 categories. 1 night to begin your liberation from archonic interference. Step 1 is recognition. Walk through your home slowly and deliberately, bringing conscious awareness to every corner, and identify every object that falls into these 5 categories. Mirrors facing your bed, containers of stagnant water, inherited religious objects, screens in your bedroom, gifts given with expectation. Do not remove anything yet. Simply recognize. Bring your conscious awareness to each object individually. This alone begins weakening the archonic attachment, because these entities operate best in unconscious environments, where humans move through life on autopilot. Step 2 is declaration. Stand in the center of your home. Place your hand over your solar plexus. This is your power center, the seat of your will and sovereign authority. Take 3 deep breaths. Then speak these words out loud with intention and power. I am a carrier of the divine spark. I am sovereign in this space. No frequency may anchor here without my conscious permission. I revoke all permissions I have unknowingly granted. I command all archonic attachments to dissolve now. Feel the vibration of those words in your chest cavity. That vibration is not just sound waves moving through air. It is frequency activation. It is your divine authority activating and establishing dominance. The archonic forces cannot remain where a pneumatic has consciously declared sovereignty. They do not possess the power to override your will. They only had your unconscious permission, and you just revoked it completely. Step 3 is removal. Within 7 days of your declaration, remove or reposition every object you identified during recognition. Move the mirror so it no longer faces your bed. Empty all stagnant water and establish a daily refresh practice. Place inherited religious objects in a box and store them outside your living space, or release them entirely through donation. Remove screens from your bedroom completely. No exceptions, no compromises. And for gifts with expectation, you have a choice. You can return them, donate them, or if you wish to keep the object but sever the cord, hold it in your hands and speak this declaration. I receive the love this gift represents and release all cords of obligation. This object now carries only the frequency I choose. What happens next will prove everything I've told you is real. Topic 6. Your liberation begins now. 500 words. Here is exactly what you will experience in the following days as the archonic anchors dissolve from your environment. Within the first 3 nights, your sleep will transform dramatically. Dreams will become clearer and more vivid, or cease entirely as the interference patterns dissolve completely. You may wake feeling genuinely rested for the first time in years, possibly decades. Within the first week, you will notice your thoughts feel fundamentally different, lighter, more authentically your own, rather than broadcasted from external sources. That constant background anxiety that you assumed was just part of your personality will begin quieting significantly. you will realize it was never yours. It was transmitted through the Archonic anchor points. Within 2 weeks, other people will notice something different about your energy signature. They will not be able to name it specifically, but they will feel the change. Some will be drawn closer, attracted to your rising frequency. Others will pull away, feeling uncomfortable in your presence. This is natural. As your frequency elevates, you become incompatible with those who operate at Archonic serving frequencies. You may also experience moments of intense resistance, thoughts that tell you this is foolish, impulses to put the mirror back in its original position, sudden sentimental attachment to objects you were ready to release moments before. Recognize this for exactly what it is. The Archonic forces do not surrender territory easily. They will use your own mind against you, generating thoughts that feel like yours but originate from their influence. But you are pneumatic. You are a chosen one. You have the spark. You have the awareness. And now you have the protocol. The monad did not bring you to this video by accident or random chance. Every moment of your life that felt wrong, every time you sensed there was more to reality than you were being told, every night you lay awake feeling watched by something you could not name or see, it was all leading here to this knowledge, to this activation, to this night. You now possess what the early church feared most, not blind faith, not empty hope, but direct knowledge, true gnosis. The exact same knowing that the Nazarene himself transferred to his inner circle in that upper room, the same protocol they used to cleanse their spaces and protect their divine spark. And tonight, it lives in you. For 1700 years, this teaching was buried. The councils that shaped modern Christianity did not want you to have this power. They needed you dependent. They needed you returning to their buildings, their priests, their rituals, their intermediaries. They needed you to believe that the divine was outside of you, accessible only through their approved channels and hierarchies. But the Gnostics preserved the truth. They hid it in caves. They encoded it in texts. They passed it through generations of chosen ones who knew that someday the right people would be ready. You are those people. This is that someday. The 5 objects I revealed tonight are sitting in homes around the world, broadcasting Archonic frequencies into the lives of millions who have no idea why they feel anxious, drained, and disconnected from their divine nature. But you know now, you cannot unknow this. And that knowing comes with responsibility. Like this video right now to help others find this truth. The algorithm fights against us. Right now, I need you to do 3 things before you leave this page. First, comment below with what you are removing tonight. Tell us which of the 5 categories you recognized in your home. When you declare it publicly, you strengthen your commitment and show other chosen ones they are not alone in this process. Your comment may be the exact sign someone else needed to take action. Second, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. What I shared tonight is only the beginning of the knowledge being restored. There are deeper teachings coming, techniques the Gnostics used to not only protect themselves from Archonic influence, but to dissolve the demiurge's hold entirely and reclaim full sovereignty. If this video reached you, the next ones are meant for you too. Third, like this video right now, the algorithm suppresses this content systematically. Every like pushes back against that suppression and helps other pneumatics find what was hidden from them. Do all 3 now before you leave this page. Tonight, when the noise of the world quiets and you stand in your home with new eyes, remember this. You are not fighting the Archons. You are simply remembering what you are. And what you are cannot be anchored, cannot be harvested, cannot be controlled. You are the divine spark incarnate. You are sovereign. You are free.